Good morning, all. Today we're going to discuss about various methods of estimation of hemoglobin. So basically, there are 5 different methods can be employed for the estimation of hemoglobin. They are physical method, chemical method, gasometric method, colorimetric method, and automated method. So let me discuss in detail about all the 5 different types of hemoglobin estimation methods, of which first one is a physical method. So physical method of hemoglobin estimation is otherwise called as copper sulfate method because here we are using copper sulfate as a reaction medium. Okay. So measurement of hemoglobin concentration by this method is based on the assumption that change in specific gravity of the blood is entirely due to change in hemoglobin concentration, which means specific gravity of blood is mainly due to presence of hemoglobin in it. Okay. So any alteration in specific gravity of blood could be due to alteration in hemoglobin concentration. So for this test to be carried out, here we are using copper sulfate as a reaction medium having a specific gravity of 1.05, which is equivalent to normal hemoglobin concentration, that is 12 gram per deciliter of hemoglobin. So now take copper sulfate in a test tube, that is fill a test tube 2 by 3rd of the test tube with copper sulfate solution having a specific gravity of 1.05. Now add a drop of blood to it. Suppose if the drop of the blood sinks at the bottom of the tube, it indicates hemoglobin concentration is normal, or hemoglobin concentration of blood is equal to hemoglobin concentration of the copper sulfate. So now suppose if the drop of blood added to the copper sulfate solution is floating over the surface, it indicates hemoglobin concentration is less or below the normal range. Okay. So these are the 2 types of result could be obtained after the procedure. So first tube indicates normal hemoglobin concentration. Second tube indicates reduced hemoglobin concentration. That's why the drop of blood is floating over the surface of copper sulfate. So there are several advantages and disadvantages of this technique. Advantages are simple, inexpensive, and rapid. So disadvantages are it is an inaccurate method and exact quantity of hemoglobin cannot be estimated because by doing this test we can just say that the hemoglobin concentration of the patient sample is normal or not. We cannot exactly quantitate it like the hemoglobin concentration is 12, 14, 16, 18. Likewise we cannot exactly quantitate. Okay. So second method is chemical method or reference method. So here hemoglobin concentration of the sample is indirectly measured by using a calculation. So for that iron content of hemoglobin is measured and the technique is called Wong's method. So as we all know, one molecule of hemoglobin will be containing 4 molecules of iron atom. Okay. So 1 gram of hemoglobin contains 3.47 milligrams of iron. So for this technique, first we need to precipitate the protein present in the blood sample. For that, add tungstic acid and now add sulfuric acid and potassium thiocyanate to separate the iron present in the blood sample. Okay, iron present in the hemoglobin is detached by the addition of sulfuric acid and potassium thiocyanate. And now the color formed is measured colorimetrically and hemoglobin present in the patient sample is calculated indirectly. That is, hemoglobin in gram per deciliter is equal to blood iron content in milligrams per deciliter divided by 3.47. So advantages of this technique are it's a very accurate method. So it can be used as a reference method. So second one is disadvantages. As this is a complex method, it will take time for the completion of the test. First we need to precipitate the protein present in the blood. After that we have to separate the iron content of the hemoglobin. Then we need to indirectly calculate the hemoglobin content. So it is a bit time consuming procedure. So third one is gasometric method. Here, as the name indicates, oxygen binding capacity of hemoglobin is measured. That is, we all know that 1 molecule of hemoglobin can bind with 4 molecules of oxygen. So 1 gram of hemoglobin will bind about 1.34 ml of oxygen. So procedure, saturate the blood with oxygen first, then the bound oxygen is displaced and is measured using a special apparatus. So hemoglobin concentration is measured indirectly. That is, hemoglobin in gram per deciliter is equal to volume of oxygen displaced per 100 ml of blood divided by 1.34. But certain hemoglobin variants like sulfhemoglobin, methemoglobin, and carboxyhemoglobin cannot bind with the oxygen. So this type of hemoglobin cannot be detected by this method. So advantages of this technique are, this is an accurate method, so it can be used as a reference method. Second one is, this is a time consuming method and require expensive equipment. That is, first we need to saturate the blood with the oxygen. After that, we need to displace the bound oxygen. Then it is needed to be measured using a special equipment. After that, we need to indirectly calculate the hemoglobin present in the sample. So it's a time consuming procedure. And also it requires expensive equipment for the measurement of displaced oxygen. Okay, so this is not commonly used. So fourth one is colorimetric method. So here the technique is based on the measurement of color of hemoglobin or any of its derivative in a given sample. Okay. So there are basically two methods are employed, visual colorimetric method and photoelectric colorimetric method. So visual colorimetric method, as the name indicates, we are comparing the color formed by using bare eyes or naked eyes. And second technique is photoelectric colorimetric method. Here, the color formed is measured using a special apparatus called colorimeter. Okay. So visual colorimetric method, the technique includes direct color matching, carboxyhemoglobin method, acid hemetin method. So of which let's discuss about direct matching technique. So direct matching technique, first one is a Tolkist method. Okay, so here a drop of blood is absorbed into a test paper and color of the blood absorbed on the filter paper is compared to the color on the standard chart. So now the color corresponds to different concentrations of the hemoglobin. That is after sterilizing the fingertip of the patient, prick the fingertip and then wipe the drop of blood using a filter paper. And now the drop of blood will get absorbed on the filter paper and compare the color formed on the filter paper with the standard color chart. Here you can see different color on this color chart. That is, each of the color corresponds to particular hemoglobin concentration. That is, here you can see darker color, that is darker brown, corresponds to 14 gram per deciliter, red color corresponds to 12 gram per deciliter, and pale color corresponds to 4. Likewise, color ranges would be there in the color comparator. And here the color which is obtained on the filter paper is compared with the standard color chart. Okay. So advantages are, it's very easy to perform. Disadvantage, it's an inaccurate method. So second method is DARE method. This is not commonly used because this is a earliest method used, which is in 1930s. This technique was used in 1930s. Nowadays, this is not used. Here, diluted blood is thinly spread between glass disc for the direct matching and is an obsolete method. That is, it is not used nowadays. And here the device which is used for matching of the color is called DARE hemoglobinometer. So this is a DARE hemoglobinometer which is used to compare the color formed on the disc. Okay. So last one is a Spencer method. Here color of diluted oxyhemoglobin is matched visually. And this is a less accurate than that of the Salis method, because in Salis method, brown color of hemoglobin is compared with the standard comparators. That is a bit difficult. So color of oxyhemoglobin formed is more difficult for our bare eyes to detect. Okay, so this method is not commonly used. So second technique, that is carboxyhemoglobin method or Haldane method. So here hemoglobin is converted to carboxyhemoglobin by the action of coal gas on the diluted blood. So now the color formed is diluted and compared with the standard. So result is reported as a gram percentage. And last one is acid hemetin method or Salis method. Let's discuss this in next video. Okay. Thank you.